This is part 3 of giving you some tips on ironing, pressing, if you will. We're going to do the pants here in a minute, but I thought maybe I'd just say a few more things that are important, I think. So this light that blinks on the Rowenta, you have one of these too. So right now, by blinking like this, it's telling me it's not up to temperature. So what they have is a safety mechanism. So when the iron is set down like this for a while, it goes into a cool down mode, so it doesn't stay hot and it's a hazard. So if you tip it like this, it knows it's ready, you're going to use it. So it's got a tilt meter, so you can see how it's gone hot again here too. So that's something to keep in mind. So in other words, if you've left it for 3 or 4 minutes and then you come up and you start ironing right away, it's not going to be up to temperature. So you want to make sure it's solid on there. Another thing we didn't touch much on is the heat adjustments. So what you really want to do is, most of the time you're probably going to be up at the cotton level, which is pretty much the hot one. But what you want to get used to is start looking at the clothing. The apparel itself will always have, it'll have the tags that you're familiar with, but inside on all this stuff you could start to get used to seeing what material is, because you can wreck things if you don't have the right temperature. That's why the Rowenta has multiple settings for multiple temperatures, and believe me, someday you'll have it too hot, and that's the worst thing you can do. So get used to reading on the inside of your shirts. Some of the materials that I like are certainly not 100% cotton. In fact, few things are really 100% cotton. They're usually a synthetic blend. So for example, this shirt that's very comfortable is 100% rayon, which is actually pretty good. And this material, which I actually like the best, it's the most comfortable feeling for me. This is a blend between 55% cotton and 45% rayon. And these things will all matter as far as settings on the iron. This is 100% cotton on this shirt. And what you'll find too is these tags will always, most of the times, give you a recommendation on what to do when you iron. It'll say iron on low or iron on some setting. So the point is it's a good idea to look inside of the clothing, the apparel, the piece it is, and see if it has any advice on how you're supposed to iron it. And that way you don't get in trouble and wreck something. Okay, so pants. I think generally the pants are usually a heavier material. So I think also the thing you need to remember is the seams. Those always are a clue as to how it wants to be ironed. As far as using the water spray on these, I mean, I still do this. It's sometimes not quite as effective because the pants tend to be a thicker material, so they don't absorb so well. But I still will, certainly around the waistline. So I tend to start at the waistline, and right away I can see that on this pair of pants, the pockets, which have these flaps, you can see that that's a problem. So I usually undo the button, because we want to do that. I usually take in the buttons sometimes are. So it wouldn't hurt to have the buttons. This one's very crinkly. So this one I'll just. So the way I do it is, I again use the front of the iron. This is another reason it's tapered like this. I just get the pant leg, so it's this, the horn or the snout here is inside the pants, and so again, just make sure it looks like it's on. It's on. It just wasn't up on hot. So I just do the same thing, get the pockets. Usually this front area where the pants tie together, is usually all wrinkled, so again, just get used to doing that. Pull it up the snout again, this side. So on these pockets, you can fold them back like that maybe to begin with. Getting the waistband too at the same time in the back, and then when it folds down, these in there. But see, here is also why you like the design of this iron, that's why they do it that way. You also want to make sure these pockets, the inside liners are flat. Oh, there she is. Say hi, Caroline.
Good morning. Just getting more coffee.
And she's watching the game, I think. Or something.
The TV's busted.
Well, the satellite, actually, the internet was out this morning when the storm was happening. Alright, so that's the basic drill for the top end of the pan. So then, what I do with this is, again, you want to get to the seams. This is on inside the crotch. I have the two seams on the inside. I put them together. Then the outside seam goes to that. So this is obviously how pants get put on a hanger. But so what I do is I just tend to separate those and do one pant leg at a time, using the seam as the reference. And just get it as much as you can on the board with the crotch right in the middle there. So I've gotten these two seams together. And on the inside of the pant leg, it doesn't really matter what you do, but you want to make sure there's no crease or fold on the underside, because once you've done this, you know, you'll end up with a crease you don't want. And I just turn it over. I don't think it matters really which side you want, but you know, the outside is going to be the one that shows the most. And so the bottom part's really the part that is going to show as much, so you know, that's where you want it to look nice. You can't do much about some of this stuff up here. I don't even think I'd worry about it for you. And then do the other one, lining up the seams. Get those right. Try to get as much of the leg flat. And again, you got to be careful, because see how that was starting to fold over underneath, and if I ironed on that, it would have been pressed in and it wouldn't look very good. And okay there. And really the bottom part's what matters. And, you know, you're pretty much done at this point. And just fold them up. Sometimes I'll even, you know, fold them like I'm going to put them on the hanger, and then just put them on here one more time. Doesn't hurt. But again, you want to make sure there's no, you can feel through the material. You feel where you've got some problems and straighten them out. And again, I don't think, you know, you can't do much about that up here. This is usually pretty, the material's pretty symmetric. And, you know, you're done. These aren't the best looking pants in the world, but they're ones that I did need to iron. There you go. So, have a nice day. See ya.